Another year, another messed up dex. Hey Pokemon fans, it's JWitz here with what's starting to become a bit of a holiday on this channel. Combing through the Pokédex of the newest Pokemon game to find the funniest, weirdest, and darkest Pokemon descriptions hidden within. And this year, with an entire new national dex to look through, we... What? Wait, Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon doesn't have a national dex? But there is still well over 400 of some of the most hilarious Pokédex entries I've ever read, and this would be our big 10th Pokédex entries episode, so... let's do this. As usual, I like to put the lighthearted stuff at the front, and this one is probably the most wholesome entry to date, thanks to Ultra Moon's Alakazam. If it trusts someone deeply, it will let them have one of its spoons. Anything you eat with that spoon is apparently delicious. Okay, so right off the bat, I have questions. Alakazam doesn't get the second spoon until evolution, so is using its spoon to eat technically using another Pokemon's body part? Also, is an Alakazam really an Alakazam with just one spoon? Isn't that basically a Kadabra? But weirdness aside, I do think there's something kind of adorable about this one, and I want that spoon. Always a fan favorite, we found a pretty weird take from Eevee this year. Its genes are easily influenced by its surroundings. Even its face starts to look like that of its trainer. So I've heard the thing about dogs and their owners looking alike, but the thought of Eevee slowly morphing its face to look like me? That's horrifying. This? Adorable. This? Nightmare fuel. If you watched my work over the years, it's probably pretty obvious that I have a soft spot for puns. And this year, I think Bounsweet takes the cake. Bounsweet tries to resist being swallowed by a bird Pokemon by spinning the sepals on its head. It's usually a fruitless attempt. This one gets a nice little double dip into the dark and hilarious category. Poor Bounsweet gets gobbled up, and this little adorable guy gets mauled despite trying everything in its power to break free. But also, really? A fruitless attempt? Because it's the fruit Pokemon. Literally, that's its classification. Localizers must have had a field day with this one. You know who else is having a good day? Salazzle. We've talked about Salazzle's ridiculous reverse harem in the past, but Salandit's entry in Ultra Sun helps explain a key detail in its Pokemon's evolutionary lines. The males will do whatever the females tell them. They give the females most of their food. Due to malnutrition, the males can't evolve. Well, dang! Guess a girl gotta eat. I figured males didn't evolve because they weren't genetically capable, but it turns out that it's simply because they don't have any food. They're starving. Starving for attention from the females, that is. Speaking of eating, here's two Pokemon that use their mouths in disgusting ways. I'll let you enjoy these side by side. It licks filth clean with its tongue. Whatever it licks always stinks afterward, so whether it's really clean is questionable. When it examines things, before touching them with its hands, it makes lip contact and then diligently licks all the dirt off its lips. Sticky tongues? Dirty lips? Oh, this is disgusting. I wish I could say I expected better of the licking Pokemon and the kiss Pokemon, but I'd be lying if I said I did. Y'all need Arceus. And you know what else stinks? Stuffle. It boasts power enough to split large trees in half. The organ on its rear releases an odor that it uses to communicate with others of its kind. That's a real thing I just read. The odor from the organ on its rear. Apparently these bears have created an entire language out of farts. Winnie the Pooh? More like... No, actually Winnie the Pooh is probably a perfectly acceptable phrase to use here. Gross. When making these Dex videos, I usually try to use as much variety as possible, ignoring past Pokemon that I've used for new entries if I can. But for this 10th Dex video, I've decided to bust out a few classic repeats that somehow become even more depressing and dark than in their originals. Ghastly. Poisonous gas comprises 95% of its body. It's said that the remaining 5% is made up of the souls of those who died from the gas. Okay, so we can look at this the dark way or the funny way. The dark way is that this ghastly formula is dreadful. It was almost 10 years ago, back in the Diamond Pokédex entry, that we got word that Ghastly is made of, well, 95% gas. But it wasn't until Ultra Moon that we learned about that final 5%, which makes things so much darker. Death by poison gas is a pretty dark subject over the history of humanity, and it turns out that Pokemon figured that this would be a great topic to bring into the otherwise adorable Ghastly. Okay, so what's the funny thing about this? This is almost identical to that scene with Plankton and SpongeBob. It's uncanny.
Ghastly.
1% evil, 99% hot gas.
Ghastly!
Another returning classic with all new flavor is a Pokédex favorite, Cubone. At night, it weeps loudly for its dead mother, but those cries only attract its natural enemy, Mandibuzz. We've talked about how awful Cubone's sorrow is in crying for its dead mother, but leave it to Ultra Sun to add a great new twist. Its crying just makes it even more likely to die. And extending that to Mandibuzz's dex entry, well, it skillfully arranges the bones of its prey to construct its nest. Most of the bones are Cubone. Let's just say that this cycle of sorrow doesn't end well. It's the circle of life, I guess. And last on today's entries is one I'm sure a ton of you have seen so far on social media, but it's just too ridiculous to pass up. Ultra Sun Drampa. If a child it has made friends with is bullied, Drampa will find the bully's house and burn it to the ground. How does Drampa deal with bullying? Not talking to the kid's parents, no making a call to the school, no attempts for peaceful resolution whatsoever. Nah, Drampa skips all those steps and goes straight to burning everything to the ground. No mercy. Now, I know what some of you are maybe thinking. Maybe today's video wasn't as dark as my usual entries, and that's because we had so many funny ones to share today. And if you're in that camp, have no fear, because there's still some time for the Mega Evolution Turbo Round, where we dump 5 more dex entries on you to remind you of how horrible a person you are when you Mega Evolve. Ready? Begin! All 5 of these entries are from Ultra Sun. Its red claws and the tips of its tail are melting from high internal temperatures that are painful to Houndoom itself. Its intellect surpasses its previous level, resulting in battles so cruel they'll make you want to cover your eyes. Due to the colossal power poured into it, this Pokemon's back split right open. Its destructive instincts are the only thing keeping it moving. Bathed in the energy of Mega Evolution, the gemstone on its chest expands, rips through its skin, and falls out. It stores the excess energy for Mega Evolution, so after a long time passes, its body starts to melt! Oh my god. Thanks for joining me on today's adventure. It's been a fun 10 episodes, and if Pokemon keeps giving us ammunition like the Ultra games, I wouldn't be surprised to see 10 more down the road. If you enjoy my content, consider checking out my live streams at twitch.tv/thejwits. We're slowing down a little here on YouTube production to about 1 big video a month, but you can catch me streaming Nintendo games almost every weekday over here. As always, thank you for watching my videos, and I'll see you guys next time with more Nintendo content.